let me tell you guys about a little game called Days Gone. This is a game that is not trying to be anything else except for a good game. Days Gone was released in 2019 by Bend Studio on the PlayStation 4. The reception was kinda bland and the game was criticized for poor performance, bugs and a bunch of other aspects lacking in the story and exploration side of things. But more on that later. Anyway, the game sold fairly well overall and especially over time, but for some reason it's been kinda forgotten by the gaming community. Personally, I think Uncharted and The Last of Us is somewhat to blame here. To tell the truth, we were at the time of release spoiled with excellent storytelling, gameplay, audio and visuals, which kinda left most other similar games in the dust. But I'm here to tell you that there's more to this game than being an underdog to some Naughty Dog. Unfortunately, in my opinion, the start of the game kicks off a little bit too fast. It makes sense later on in the game, but the first impression is somewhat important, and I think they definitely dropped the ball on this one. Everything moves very fast, characters are introduced in a way that treats us, the audience, as if we're already familiar with these people, which makes the emotional part feel very disconnected. But when the cutscenes are settled and we get past all that drama and gameplay opens up, a beautiful and fun and passionately designed game is to be found here. I'm gonna keep this pretty short and somewhat spoiler free in the hopes that this video will inspire you to play this game for yourself. But anyway, let's start with the story. We play as Deacon St. John, an ex-military biker who, as we learn in the beginning of the game, has lost his wife during the virus crisis. A virus that turns humans into violent feral creatures called freakers. The game sets in the Pacific Northwest, with Central Oregon as its inspiration. It's been 2 years since the virus broke out, and we enter the story as Deacon and his best friend and fellow biker Boozer trying to survive as mercenaries, running errands and collecting bounties for different individuals and factions. Key characters and factions will be introduced throughout the story. Everyone has their own agenda and methods for survival, and overall great character design, portrayed in a way that in my book makes kinda sense in a world like this. I don't want to get too deep into the story here, but let's say for the sake of spoilers that something goes wrong and we have to help a friend, which will lead us down a spiral of interactions that will push the narrative forward. And on that note, I have to touch on the voice acting, which is absolutely top-notch. Great performances all around. Graphics. I was playing on a PS5, so 60 frames per second and overall a smooth experience. The graphics is surprisingly good. Some elements looks quite amazing actually. I got caught by surprise so many times, be it motion capture, face animations, sometimes insanely good and lifelike eye design, environments, weather effects, lush forests, landscapes, just wonderful detailed interiors, and overall just a beautiful crafted and designed world. The physics is great, you traverse the world with your bike and the bike feels heavy, the driving is excellent. Shooting enemies feels nice, and the animation of enemies stumbling when getting shot or lumping over each other is just a feast for the eyes here. Dynamic weather and lighting effects is also just beautifully made. You got rain, fog, and that nice dew during early morning as the sun hits the grass, day and night cycles, you even got snow in the game. And of course mud, dust, smoke, particles and wind are also very nice on the ice here. In simple terms, the game looks great and is filled with a thick and nice movie-like atmosphere. Sound and music. Mucus? Sound and music. In short, it sounds great. The music fits. There's some story elements that plays a single song, kinda like how it's done in Red Dead Redemption, that is just great.
It's like the enemies that we are battling.
The soundtrack overall is dead on. I only wish the quote-unquote idle music played a little bit more frequent when riding throughout the world. Another smaller complaint is that I kind of felt like many of the weapons lack that heavy sound when shooting, that oomph, but it didn't bother me that much since I used silencer a lot. And of course, as I mentioned before, the voice acting is absolutely stellar here. Everyone puts in the work here and treats their respective role with absolute respect for the art form. The game really does feel like a movie at times. Gameplay. Like I said in the beginning, this is a game and it definitely plays like a game. Days Gone is an arcadey, open-world survival third-person shooter with stealth elements if you choose to use them. The rules are quite simple. You got health, it depletes, you die. You got stamina, it depletes, you can't run. Pretty much basic stuff. You get to carry around 3 different kinds of weapons at the same time. One main gun, such as shotguns, SMGs and assault rifles. One sidearm for small arms, like pistols and such. And one special, like heavy machine guns and sniper rifles. And if you enjoy stealth, there's even silencers to make or buy for almost every gun. But be careful, they do break after enough uses. Speaking of stealth, you also carry a knife for stealth takedowns, or for up and close fighting if you run out of bullets. There's also different kind of melee weapons out there to find, like baseball bats, axes and machetes, but they will break after enough uses and needs to be repaired to prevent that. There's also a bunch of utilities like grenades, molotovs, mines, bombs, smokes, traps and whatnots to help you survive, or maybe even to take on a horde. There's also crafting mechanics here, but it's kinda limited to health, bombs and melee weapons. The big boys, the guns, you gotta buy that from a vendor or pick up one from an enemy you just killed. But the guns you buy, you own. You can equip them whenever you like at a safe house or a gun vendor. Which leads me to the different camps you'll find in the world. These camps will provide you with both story and non-story related missions. And with a couple of different vendors. Some for selling stuff you find or kill in the world. And some for buying weapons, ammo and upgrading parts for your bike. Everything is quite basic. You sell stuff or complete missions to earn cash and trust for each camp. Cash to afford to buy and trust for being able to buy, which means more trust unlocks better stuff. As for traversing the world and between camps, you ride your bike which runs on fuel. No fuel, no gas. There's fast travel mechanics and it calculates if you have enough fuel in your tank to make the journey, which is kinda cool, even though I've never fast traveled even once during my playthrough. The bike riding and enjoyment of going from A to B was just too nice to skip. Also, there's a nice little game mechanic here that allows you to drive up to a gas pump at a gas station and just refill the tank from the seat of your bike. A small but very nice detail. And of course, should anything happen to your bike, you can always repair it on the spot. If you have enough scrap, that is. Outside of all of this, you constantly get XP for everything you do, and with that comes leveling up, which earns you a skill point in the skill tree. The skill point tree has 3 categories: melee combat, ranged combat and survival. There's also another way of upgrading your health, stamina or focus, but I'm gonna leave that for you to discover for yourself. This is an open world kind of game, but it's not really an exploring kind of game. You go from A to B and there is some random things that happens during these journeys that fits the game and it's interesting enough to experience over and over again. But I wouldn't go out of my way to randomly explore it since there's not really anything to find. And even if there were something to find, the game does an excellent job in communicating whatever that is on the map already. Sure, there's loot and maybe you'll find a scary cave on your own, but don't expect an Elden Ring kind of exploration reward here. In short, this is a linear experience in an open world game. I still recommend though to not fast travel while playing this game. Except for the satisfying driving and the many random things that can happen along the road, There's frequent dialogues between characters via radio and radio host that talks from time to time, which makes the world feel kinda alive, and I don't think you wanna skip out on that. Anyway, in conclusion, this game is an amazing experience if you're looking for something deep and simple at the same time. It's very forgiving, fun, violent, raw, beautiful, comes with an impressively movie-like presentation with a story that just seems to go on and on and on. This is a long game with plenty of hours to offer. No live service, no loot boxes, no cosmetic packs to buy. It's just a great game. You can find this game on PlayStation 4, 5 and on PC. And I hope you have a lot of fun. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay beautiful.
Thank you.